welcome back to another episode of Tea Time with TT's podcast, honey. And today we are going to find out who the hell I am. I just realized I was giving you guys all of this content and all of these amazing spiritualists and things like that, and y'all didn't even know what the fuck I was. Okay. So we're just gonna go ahead today and then talk a little bit about me, even though I really could care less about doing all of that. But I want you guys to know who I am for those who come onto this page and don't really know anything about me. So let's get it. First question that I ask everybody when they come on here is, who are you? Like, who are you as far as your work life, spiritual life, and things like that. So for me, I am a psychic medium. I'm a tarot reader. I'm a tarot teacher. I am a root worker. I'm eclectic with my magic, but I do primarily a lot of hoodoo. I'm not necessarily out there. I don't necessarily do it for other people unless I feel like they need it, or unless it's for healing, unhexing, or things like that. But um, I make intention oils. I have 21 as far as right now. A lot of the recipes are created by me because my spirit team has awakened me and told me to get up and create something. And I did that. Um, Basically, I am a psychic medium development teacher. I have a course with that. We're getting ready to start up another one. And I'm just an all around eclectic, little bit of hood, silly, fun loving, spiritual gangster. That's who I am. Okay, so the next question that people usually ask, right, is like, who are you when the cameras are off? Or who are you when you're not teaching, magic and doing magic? Literally, I am pretty much the same person as I am on camera. Like, I'm silly like that. Magic is my life, hoodoo is my life. I go throughout my life, communicating with my spirits. My children are very aware of my gifts. I am a mother of four. My oldest is 23. Then I have a 19-year-old, almost 18-year-old this month in June, and a 16-year-old who will be 17 in November, excuse me. And I'm just a mother. I'm a daughter, of my very spicy mother, who's a Taurus, honey, and my Pisces dad, who is a mess. And it's just a lot of love around me. I am engaged to my twin flame. We've been together for about 5 years now, so that's a journey you guys are going to hear about going forward on the podcast. Um, yeah, like, I'm just a mom. I'm just me. I'm feisty, I'm spunky. I'm not going to say like, oh, I'm just this, I'm not one of those. I'm not like really stuck up and stuff like that. So who I am around everybody is pretty much who I am on the regular. A lot of my clients, a lot of my students know that they could, like, I'm just an inbox away. I'm not above, communicating or being there for people that I know need me. Okay. So I'm just me. I'm just me. I'm funny. I'm fun, and I will say I'm kind of rebellious. I can be rebellious. I'm gonna say that. My spirit team yells at me often. Okay. So the next question that I usually ask everybody, because now I'm thinking about it, I have nobody to interview me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so now I got to answer the questions as I would ask them, right? So the next question is, what is my specific spiritual practice? Again, I'm very eclectic. Okay. I do a little bit of this, a little Bible mancy, a little hoodoo, a little, voodoo stuff, some Santeria stuff, like baths I like that they created. I might take those. But primarily I practice hoodoo at this moment. I am delving into Kemetic spirituality and learning about that and the magic with that. So I wouldn't say that I am practicing Kemetic spirituality at this moment. I am learning so that I can begin to practice. I'm also a Kundalini Reiki master. I don't offer that service. I'm very selfish when it comes to that and my energy because I give out a lot of my energy already. Um, I would say, just spiritually speaking, I'm a little bit of everything, I'm a little bit of everything. Um, I've, had past life dreams or past life readings, and in almost all of them, I've been priestesses and witch doctors and root workers and nurse midwives, like herbal nurse midwives, and you know and things like that, and witches and all kinds of stuff. So in every lifetime I've been this, but this is my lifetime to just be all of this at once. So I don't feel the need to be initiated at this moment. I'm not saying I won't, because I don't want people to think, that I would not do that, because what if a spirit instructs me to do that later on? But as far as right now, I do not feel that I want to be initiated into any specific practice. I am leaving from Christianity. And I don't want to put myself back into, the religion box. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel that God is everywhere. And I feel that your spirituality walks with you everywhere. I feel that the Orisha are our ancestors. I feel that the Ascended Masters, all of these spirits and these energies are um, available to us. And, the greatest, most high creator of all things is bigger than a building or a spiritual practice, or bigger than even us, or even that we can ever fathom. Our ancestors are always, always, always connected to us in this lifetime and next ones. They end up and show up in other ways in another lifetime. So I I just want to be able to be free so that I can connect with all of them at once or in separate times. I've had Orisha come to me in dreams. I've had Orisha show up when I'm, if I got to do some work or some protection work. I've had neters and netresses. That is the Kemetic word for gods and goddesses. So I've had, different neteresses. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correct, because I don't want to get in trouble. Nah, my Kemetic teacher is mad cool. So, but neteres, excuse me, I've had different ones come to me in dreams, or as I'm powering up my energy. So I do know that they're with me and they walk with me, even without me being initiated, even without me being in a space where I'm going to actively work with them in my spiritual practice every day. Now, that's not to say that there's anything wrong with people getting initiated. Some people are that way, and in this lifetime they might need that kind of discipline as far as spirituality is concerned. They might need that discipline. I, for one, don't. I don't feel like I do at this moment. If spirit says that I need that kind of discipline, spiritually speaking, I will definitely, definitely listen to spirit, because that's the only thing that I listen to. Humans and things like that, honey, I have a hard time. Spirit has to tell me, no, you got to go to learn from this person. You got to, you got to go and work with this person. That's when I will be obedient, because in Christianity, you end up following what somebody is telling you you should do, correct? Like, you follow what it is that they tell you to do. You believe what they tell you to believe. You go by whatever scripture the pastor tells you to go by. Like, you're just kind of like in this whole zombified ass cult, right? And I don't want to be that anymore. I don't want to be that anymore. When spirit leads me to work with an ancestor or a Orisha or a neter or netress, when spirit instructs me to go to a different branch of my ancestry, that's when I want to tap into it. I don't want to be told by somebody else who's just as flawed as I am, or who is on this journey just like I am, that I can't tap into those sides of myself until I do bop, bop, bop. Like, no, that's not what we're going to do. I have spirits that speak to me. So if they need to know a offering, or there's a certain specific way they want it done, they tell me. But that comes with work. and understanding and being really connected to your spirit team and your spirits and your communication with spirit. It takes a lot of work. I have been openly on my spiritual path, openly for 5 years, where people could see me. I can remember as early as age 5 seeing spirits. So I'm 40. I just made 40, guys. On May 27th. Go back and watch the other videos, my birthday videos up with Duchess and all the other amazing ladies that are there. I want you guys to check it out. But yeah, it's very, very important to be in that space. I've been very quiet about it. It's even with my oils, my conjure oils. I didn't want to sell them, and I wanted to just make them for myself. Um, and that was it. And then spirit's like, no. So again, you have to go with what your spirit is telling you. You're going to learn from somebody. Let spirit tell you. If you are going to initiate, let spirit tell you. Don't let other people make you feel like you have to do that just because they might be more well versed spiritually than you. Nobody is more well versed in what is going on in your spirit and your soul than you, right? So you can't let other people tell you. Be led to the person that you get a reading from. Be led to the person that you learn from. Be led to these people. Don't allow yourself to be spiritually bullied, okay? So let's see. Another one of the questions that I usually ask people is, how did they get into the spiritual practices that they have, or what was the situation or pivotal moment for them when that happened? So for me, I have been working with spirit my whole life, right? I've been working with spirit my entire life, and I did not answer them. I did not pay them any mind. I had become um, so used to speaking with spirit and having them near me and giving me messages and me not taking them, that I had accumulated a large amount of spirits walking with me with messages that I had to give to that point, because I was like, no, like, I'll tell if somebody's saying, oh, this person is pregnant, I'm going to tell them that. I don't want to tell them anything else, because people look at you like you're crazy when you give them messages and you're actually right. Now you crazy for real, because they don't want nobody knowing their business. And so I had become very conditioned to not listen to spirit. I felt weird. I felt off. I've always been like a loner. So in high school and junior high school, I would be off to myself all the time. There would be a lot of bullying trying to take place, and you know what I'm saying? A lot of things that people would do to me, and I would have to be um I would have to kind of like force myself not to retaliate, if that makes sense. Because I knew that what I spoke out of my mouth or what I would think would happen to the person. And I didn't want that kind of a responsibility because it's happened a lot of times in my life. And I kind of like feel bad if I say something and like something bad happens to the person. Now, don't get it twisted. If they come for me, I don't feel no kind of way about what you're getting. But as far as like just me just being angry at something somebody's saying or doing and stuff like that, like, come on now. You don't want to speak devil over nobody because you angry and all of that. Like, so I was very quiet. I was off to myself. People call me weird, be like, oh, your sister stuck up, because I have a sister. I have one biological sister. And they were like, oh, your sister's stuck up. She don't ever want to come play with us. But it was like I was having a lot of spirit visits at night. I didn't want to go outside because I would get messages all day long and things like that. So yeah, so basically how I got into this is my grandmother transition. So I'm one of the granddaughters that has identical gifts with my grandmother. My grandmother was very, very spiritual. Even though she was in church, she would get messages from what she would call God instead of, saying spirit and stuff. So she would get messages and call and tell the person what's happening to them and what to do. So I'm gonna give you guys a little story time now. So There was this one time, this is how I'm gonna let you know how spiritual my grandmother is. I was married at 17, right? I was married at 17, and my husband was very abusive. I would be trigger warning, guys. So if you have like traumas and stuff like that, and you can't hear stories like this, click off or fast forward and go watch the rest of it. But he was raping and beating me and things like that. And he used to smoke a lot of weed, so people thought he was like the sweetest thing, like he wouldn't hurt a fly, but he was like the demon spawn in that motherfucker. So I moved out at 17 as well. So I had my own place, and I was, he and I were, doing our married people thing. And my grandmother was like, I was telling people he was doing it, nobody would listen. So I basically went on hunger strike. So I wouldn't eat. Like my mom didn't believe me and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm not eating shit until, somebody pay attention to me. Like I'm trying to tell y'all what's going on and I need help. So I got down to like 90 something pounds. I was already, I mean, honey, I was like 110 soaking wet before that. So 90 something pounds wasn't that off-putting, I guess, to other people. But I would not eat. I just stopped eating, unless I was upstairs in my mom's house. My mother's apartment was upstairs, and mine was downstairs. So I go home this particular day. My mother didn't believe me. I tried to tell my mom. My mom didn't believe me. So I'm in the house, and my grandmother calls my phone, and my house phone, and I answer the phone, and she said, "God told me that boy hurting you. That boy hurting you." And I got quiet. She said, "Oh, he is." She was like, "Let me tell you something. He got a demon on him." And she was like, "I'm gonna need you to do a couple of things. Is he there?" I said, "No." She said, "We're gonna get him out of there." So I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "He gotta go." So I said, "All right." So she instructed me a couple of scriptures that I'm not gonna tell y'all because I'm not gonna tell y'all. But she told me a couple of scriptures, right? Um, and she told me to get the blessed oil. This also started my relationship with my oil. Like she always used blessed oil and anointed oils around the house and stuff like that, praying over our kids when they were born and praying over our houses when we moved in and things like that. But this particular time, she said, "Get the blessed oil that I gave you, and you pray over it, and you pour it into the food." She told me scriptures to put under his side of the bed, told me to anoint over my bed, anoint all through my house and stuff like that. Mind you, I still haven't told her all the stuff he's doing. She's telling me to do all of this work by the bed and then put some blessed oil in his food. And I'll never forget, I made him spaghetti. I made him spaghetti and I poured, the blessed oil, because, in church it's olive oil, honey. They don't put all the other ingredients that it says in the Bible that need to go in there. But it was regular olive oil. So I poured it in the food. I made the food. She said, "Don't cross that bed. Do not cross the bed. Get in from the bottom and get in on your side. This is not for you. Don't cross the bed." So I said, "Okay." So I get in on my side. So I get in on my side and I lay down, and he comes in from work and he's like, he's hungry. Well, he's weird. Like he sits down on the bed, but he starts like shifting a little bit. I'm like, "Oh shit." Like I'm looking like, what does she have me do? So he's shifting, he uncomfortable. I get up out the bottom of the bed and I just climb out the bed. He don't really think too much about it because he's too busy shuffling his seat by the bed where he at. So I get out and I make his plate and I walk over to him, I hand him his plate. And he's like, "You gonna eat?" I was like, "I'm about to go and clean up the kitchen." Because I didn't want to cross. Then I'm standing in front of him. So he would be looking for me to cross over at that time. So I said, "I'm going to go clean the kitchen." So I just find something to do, get myself busy, honey. I'm busy. I'm cleaning. I'm wiping off the counters and shit, washing dishes that ain't there. I make the food. I stand in the kitchen and eat my food. He eating. And he's like, "Oh, this is good." Oh, he going crazy over the food. He eating the food. I thought he was going to ask me for another plate, honey. And this nigga let out a belch that sound like it was from the pits of hell. Do you hear me? And he was like, "Oh, I got gas." I said, you want something to drink, baby? You thirsty? Because I knew why that happened. So he belched, he let it out, and then he was like, no, I'm gonna lay down. He lays down. Now it's scriptures all the way from the top of the bed all the way to the bottom and under the pillow. He lays down and he's like, and then he just looks around. This dude gets up, grabs all of his stuff, runs out the house. She said, when he run out the house, sweep out the door, slam the door and lock it, and he'll never come back. I said, okay, because this is her instructions beforehand. So she knew what was gonna happen, how it was gonna transpire. I didn't know. He didn't even have on his shoes, sis. He picked up his shoes and ran barefoot out the house and literally did not come back. He didn't come back after that. Nope. And I was like, oh, it actually worked. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what that was. She didn't tell me that she did an exorcism on his ass. She didn't tell me that she cast out the demons and then cast him out. About a week later, he called me, because this is back in the day, honey. This is I'm 17. I think this is 99. Okay. Probably 99 to 2000, right? So he calls me on a payphone. And I'm like, hello. I was like, what happened to you? You just ran out because you got to play it off. You can't be like, oh, So I said, what happened to you? You just ran out. He's like, yo, after I ate that food, he was like, I laid down. He was like, I put my feet on when I sat back up, my feet started burning. And he was like, and I heard a voice tell me to get out. You don't belong here and never come back, or something's going to happen to you. He was like, so I just grabbed all of my stuff and I ran. I'm not coming back there. I said, okay. Okay. Click. The next time I saw him, I was giving him his divorce papers, and he had just got out of jail because he automatically, it's like he went to jail immediately following that, right? So he comes to get the divorce papers, and I'm still in the same place, and I'm now pregnant with my second daughter. I'm with my now ex-husband's, my second ex-husband's baby. I'm pregnant, right? So he's like, oh, you look pretty pregnant. Child, when I tell you, this man come downstairs, get his paperwork, I do not recognize him. Do you hear me? I don't recognize him. He looked like whatever evil was on the inside was on the outside, sis. Face look all crazy. He was young. He's missing a tooth right in the front. He was looking crazy, skin all blotchy. He looked like he was on all like futuristic crack. Okay. That's how bad he looked. And I'm like, oh my God. I hand him the paper. I said, you're divorced. He didn't ask me how. He didn't ask me when. He didn't say shit. He said, thank you, and ran back out my mother's house. I went upstairs to my mom and them house because at the time they still was like, oh, he's a good person. I'm looking at, I'm like, y'all don't see this on this man? Like I could see this demon, honey. It got cast out. And he must have picked some more up because he started looking like it, okay? He must have picked some more motherfucking demons up because he was looking like one, okay? And everybody was like oblivious. I don't understand it. They was oblivious. So he gets the paperwork and he leaves. Now, when I first married him, my grandmother said, because my oldest daughter is not his biological daughter. So when I first married him, my mother looked at him. She said, don't let him change your daughter diaper. Don't let him bathe her. And don't let her sit in his lap. And she was like, God told me to tell you that. I don't know why. Now, I'm from the South. I'm from Mississippi. Both sides of my family is from Mississippi. So I was like, oh, okay, because you can't do that anyway. I couldn't even sit in my own daddy lap, honey. Okay, my own daddy didn't do shit like changing my diaper and all of that and bathing me until I got old enough to say if something happened or whatever. So, so I was like, okay, I wasn't gonna do that anyway, like, because that's not how I am, right? So come to find out, once the divorce papers is handed to him and I'm like going on about my business, his family then comes to me from Kentucky. I'm like, damn, Kentucky. Why y'all here? I'm thinking he, because if he would have, I was like, damn, grandma, like you ain't have to do it like that, But sad to say, he had done some things to a little girl that wherever he moved to, and he was in jail. He had got locked up. So when he left, Spirit kept telling me to go and get my daughter checked, make sure she had not been fondled with, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, well, why y'all telling me that? This is what I'm saying. I communicated with Spirit even without spirituality, right? Why are y'all telling me to do that? Oh, because, just for your peace of mind. And I'm like, wow, like, I didn't listen to my grandmother by this time. So they tell me, ask me if he has done something to my daughter because, he did this to this little girl. She was like 3 and he turned himself in. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm like, no, I had her checked. Everything is fine. But I was like, oh, I'm so sorry for the little girl. So basically, that's how spiritual my grandmother was. Like, she told me off rip what was going to happen every single time. She told me what she needed to tell me about if people were going to be abusive to me. Sometimes I didn't listen or it was too late to listen. But, I tried to move forward with my life and just go to her. So I would go to her with spiritual things. If I was seeing spirits or if I felt some kind of energy in my house, she would come in and cast them out the house, pray over the house, use her anointed oil, use her gift of discernment to call me and be there for me when I couldn't be there for myself or when nobody else was listening to me. She would get the message and then be right on time with it, right? So when she transitioned, I didn't know what to do. I had no idea what to do. And I had this little ass vial of her blessed oil, right? And I was like, I'm a ration this out, honey, because I don't have my grandma no more. I don't have the lady that I go to, that understands that I see spirits and stuff. But she kind of prepared me when she was transitioning, but I told her, lady, I'm still not going to be prepared. She was like, I'm going to go and I'm going to pass away and this is what's going to happen. And God is going to get ready to elevate you to the point where you got to do what you're called to do, Toya. Like you can't, you know what I'm saying? You're going to have to do it. You can't ignore it no more. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, what you going to do? Now, mind you, she was 84. But I felt like she was fucking 26, okay? And she acted like she was too. So I really was like, lady, I don't feel like that's gonna be no time soon, grandma. Like, chill. Like, I don't, And I used to be drinking and smoking. She used to tell me, oh, don't worry about it, because you're gonna stop. You're gonna stop when God get ready for you to do what you gotta do. Have fun, baby. So I'm like, you know what? When she transitioned, she told me she was going to do it. She transitioned maybe less than a year. Well, maybe, no. Maybe like a year and a half. She transitioned. And she said to me, oh, well, me and you see death differently. We know that there's no such thing. So, your family's going to need you when I cross over, because they're gonna be, oh, you gonna have to let them know. Don't be hollering, cry for them babies that's still here. Don't cry for me. So I'm like, okay, I still didn't want to be bothered. So she transitioned, and I knew that she transitioned because she came to me in spirit form and then merged with me. Guys, this is still the most beautiful thing, but it was just so sad. She sat in, like I'm sitting on my bed and I see her and she just kind of like walks into me and sits down. And then all of a sudden I feel like this energy like fill me up, kind of like amplified. And then I automatically, boom, panic attacks. I'm having the worst panic attacks that known to man. I've never had panic attacks, and I have trauma. I have PTSD. I'm shell shocked. We're going to talk about that another date. But, from my childhood. So I've never experienced this. I didn't know what it was. I thought I was about to die. Like my heart wouldn't slow down and my head was like, I'm feeling all of this stuff, my fingertips. It was crazy. And then she basically did that. So she basically gave me her gifts to amplify the ones that are identical to hers, right? When she got up to say goodbye, she was lighter, like she was more of a light screen. So like she was like more, she was holographic, but she was like more pronounced. Like you could see her better. When she got up out of me, it's like she left those with me and then went to spirit. And that's the best way that I can explain it. She left it with me and went to spirit. And then after that, it was just not, I could not do what it is that I do now. I just couldn't not do it. It was, I went to my first reading around that time, and she's behind me now. But I went to my first reading around that time, and the lady's like, "You got all these spirits behind you," and I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, "Your panic attacks are not gonna stop until you answer your calling." And I'm like, "What's my calling?" "You got to read tarot." I was like, "Lady, I don't read no damn tarot. I don't even play cards. I don't even know how to play 21, blackjack. No, I don't know none of that. I make drinks at the card game. Okay. I give people drinks. I ask them if they're hungry. I don't play no cards. I don't deal with cards." So she said, I said, she said, "You don't need to know how to do something that you're already called to do." And I'm like, okay. So I I still, fought it. I didn't want nothing to do with it once again. And my panic attacks had gotten so bad. My oldest daughter said, "I am buying you your first deck. And you're gonna sit down and you're gonna look at them and see if you see anything, because I can't deal with this anymore. It's stressing me out to see you like this." So she did. It was an angel deck. I still have it. And I just started reading. And I didn't know what the meanings were, but looking at it, I was like, okay, all right. And I started reading people in private for maybe a year or two prior. And then they started forcing me to take money. That's how that happened. And then that's when I started doing it, as my primary source of income, because spirit, when I would do readings for myself, it was very apparent that I'm not to work for anyone anymore, because I had gotten fired a week before Christmas, right before my grandmother transitioned. And I was being told that I'm not to work for anyone, that I have to do this. My gift is going to be what it is that I'm going to be beholding to. So that's how the tarot card started, right? So now the oil started because I ran out of my grandmother's anointed oil. That's how it started. I ran out of my grandmother's anointed oil and I panicked. Oh, I was just having me a time. And I heard her say something that she always said: "Make it yourself." And I was like, "Grandma, I don't even know how to make it." She said, "I told you, your breath is life. Speak into the bottle. And that's it. Even if all you got is olive oil, baby, you got to do it. Like, this is what you're supposed to do. Make it yourself." So I went and I'm sitting there, and as I'm talking into the olive oil, she tells me to put in herbs for certain things. So I'm doing that. And then and then I spoke into it, and then I bottled it, and I kept the little tiny, I still got the little tiny 4-ounce master jars, I call them, right? So I have the 4 ounces of the money oil, the love oil, the protection oil, and stuff that I was like making for myself, just to keep for me to use when I'm manifesting. And then my cousin kept coming in like, "Oh, let me get that. Let me get that." I'm like, "No, girl." She's like, "Girl, that thing work. That thing be working." I was like, "I don't care. You cannot I'm not." She's like, "I'll pay you for it." I was like, "No." Then she comes back like, "Oh, my coworker wants to buy some of your oil." I'm like, "Girl, I'm not selling it." You know what I'm saying? She was like, "Your grandma's not here no more. And where we gonna get our oil from? And who's gonna cleanse the houses? And who's gonna..." And I'm like, "Oh my God, like, why are you trying to make me..." She was like, "Cuz you the only other one." I'm like, "Oh my God." So that's how I started selling oil. I sold it to my cousin. My cousin told somebody else about it. They bought it, and so on and so forth. So that's how I started making the anointed oil. My grandmother is my business partner. My oils are all personalized. I speak into them and activate them for each client before I ship them. And I conjure, and leave it in the herbs, and then use the herbs into it for for 30 to 60 days. It used to be 90 at first, but 30 to 60 days. And then I allow them to be released. I have some oils now that are, sitting. So go to IamToyatarot.com to purchase all of that stuff. I also make Reiki infused, Kundalini Reiki infused conjure candles that are with the oils, that work with the oils, kits, and stuff like that. I started teaching tarot in a weird way as well. A friend was like pressing me, Spirit had told me, and I was trying to ignore it. And then like I said, I'm hard headed. So a lot of the stuff that I do now is because Spirit kept sending people to me to do it, So basically for me, I would say how I got into it is by force. Okay. By calling and by force. Okay. So the next question would be, what would I tell someone that's newly coming into spirituality? I will tell that person to first create a relationship with your ancestors. Create you an ancestor altar. Meditate, do, a lot of meditation and reading. Take your time. Before you even go to try to get a spiritual teacher, you need to have a very strong relationship with your spirit team. Because there are a lot of people, not everybody has your best interest at heart. And there are a lot of people that will see your power before you do. And unfortunately, if you choose wrong out of ego and not out of spirit, you could be with some or be friends with somebody or learn from somebody that will make it so that your gifts are never realized in the potential that they would be. So it's important to be able to communicate with your spirits and communicate and protect yourself and learn and read about different things and read about initiations or read about tarot or learn in that aspect. You need to be off to yourself for a while before you go and start to take instruction from others. Spirit will give you instructions. Your ancestors will give you instructions. They will show you the best way to go about certain things. But you have to be able to trust them and hear clearly first and trust yourself. Go through whatever healing processes. Now that's that's even more so important than the relationships with your ancestors is your relationship with yourself. Healing is very important. I'm not talking about just meditating and Reiki and all of that. Therapy will help you to see who you are as a person and see what it is that you're dealing with and unpack all of that stuff so that you can then deal with it in a spiritual manner. I tell a lot of my clients that healing needs to be a collective effort, meaning you need to be able to heal this part of yourself, heal this part of yourself. You understand? See this, you need to be able to tackle it from a mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, financial, every aspect of life and how you would move through life. All of that needs to be tackled from different directions. When you are conjuring, right? Or like say you're doing some kind of magic or like protection or defense magic, or you're going to war spiritually speaking, you need to find all angles, all directions. You have to get that target from all different directions in order for it to be effective, because it needs to have nowhere to go. So your wounds need to have nowhere to go. Every aspect needs to be dedicated to your healing and your clarity and you not feeling crazy. Some people, sometimes if you need antidepressants, take them. I took them for 6 months in my process because I needed to know that it wasn't a mental illness, right? Honestly, I needed to know that I didn't have a nervous breakdown like my doctor was telling me. So I had them put me on the lowest dosage and nothing stopped. Panic attacks didn't stop. Spirits talking to me did not stop. So I was like, okay, so this is definitely spirit. So it helped me in that aspect for wanting to get help. Therapy helps you have somebody that you can talk to that is legally and binding. They can never say anything to anybody else. So that's important, right? So it's just important to do your healing, have your relationship with your spirits, your ancestors, with the creator, first and foremost, and to really study to show yourself approved. Don't allow other people to make you feel like you have to fit into their box, especially after coming out of one box. It's very easily to go back into some other box or make, a spiritual advisor your pastor. And that's not something that you're intending to do. So you need to be very careful in your spiritual walk. There's somebody that, you have to be led to that person, but you need to be in a clear space, a clear headspace, emotional, spiritual space before you go choosing that, because you will mess yourself up every time because you don't know. Sometimes you might not see that. um and just be yourself. It's okay. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be like you had to be in church, honey. You ain't got to wear a skirt past your kneecaps. You don't have to be out here with dreadlocks and incense and, you know what I'm saying, natural deodorant. If that's not what you want to do. I'm spiritual. I got my boobs out, honey, and I change my hair so often, very often, and I don't care. I get my cuss on. It's good for my soul. Don't let these people make you feel like you have to be anything other than who you are. It needs to be authentic to you. Also, when learning from somebody, take what it is that they're teaching you and put a remix on it. Don't ever just do what somebody is telling you to do, because number one, they have the power to alter that now. They know you're doing exactly what they said to the T. So add something. If spirit tells you to add something, take something away, don't do that, do this. Listen, it's for your own protection. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I got for that. Okay, so another way that you guys can contact me, I do readings, I do personalized conjure oils, conjure candles, I do personalized readings. I love doing private readings. So you would go onto my website, I am toyatarot.com, to book. Um, I hope that this helped you guys get to know me a little bit better, so that you're not watching it like, okay, I know who that is, but who the hell is TT? I'm me, and I am authentically me. I have a loving heart, and I created this platform so that you can see women from different walks of spiritual life and different walks of life, because it won't just be spiritual. This is just the series that I'm doing now, because it's so many people out there doing spirituality, and it's a lot of, phonies. It's a lot of people that don't have your best interests at heart, and these are people that I'm bringing to you that I really, they haven't done anything to me, right? They haven't done anything but try to uplift me and educate, and that the energy is something that I want you guys to see, because you all have freedom of choice, and I want you to have more than one choice, right? If you want to learn about, Ifa, there's somebody for Ifa. If you want to learn about Kemetic spirituality, there's somebody for Kemetics. If you want to learn about hoodoo, there's somebody for hoodoo, or a couple of people for hoodoo, because it's not going to be just one person, because everybody's different. If you want to learn about, um, you know, Lakumi, there's somebody that's going to be there for that. I even have a pastor, Dr. Lakara Foster, who is a psychic medium. She does readings, and she is actively being a pastor in a Christian church. So that's something that's amazing as well. I have an ex-pastor, so somebody that's leaving Christianity or maybe stepping down from being a pastor and stuff like that. You'll have somebody that will show, talk to you about where things have gone, and then I give you a way to reach them, because I'm not a hater. A lot of people are gatekeeping, and that's, garbage. Nothing is new under the sun. So why are you keeping the information when they still can go get it from somewhere else? I want to be the place where you come get the information. I want to be the place where you can go to and let your hair down. These women are not stuck up. These women are not being in a specific category and looking a specific way. There is no way to do spirituality, just like there's no one way to believe that the creator is, okay? Because the creator is all things, and the creator resides within you. Therefore, you are all things. You can be ratchet and be spiritual. You could be, church-like and be spiritual. Spirituality does not have an aesthetic. Spirituality does not have a way of speaking or a set thing that needs to happen. Now, if you're going to be subscribing to religious practices or spiritual practices that have set things, then yes, you probably would be operating in a kind of a uniform way with tweakings, right? But as far as like just spirituality, honey, there's no way, no right or wrong way to do that. And I just want you guys to know that and remember that. I love y'all so much. Until next time, honey. Peace.